In the Hasidic masterwork Meori Naim, we learn that the purpose of da'at, the purpose of awareness, is to understand that nothing exists besides God, and that God's presence fills the entire universe, and there is no place from which God is absent. And one who has this awareness is always cognizant of God's presence before them. And when we get to this week's Torah portion, the Israelites are not aware. 40 days before, God had spoken to them all together at once, and the Israelites said, "Moses, make it stop. It's too intense when God speaks to us. Go get the rest. We'll do whatever you say." A month and a half later, they gather around Aaron and they say, "Yeah, that guy Moses, we don't know what happened to him. So build us a God that will go before us." So Aaron tries to give them a hint, right? He says, "Give me your earrings." Now, if you were trying to make something out of gold, what would you pick in terms of the jewelry you might collect? Maybe a bracelet, maybe a necklace, right? Earrings? It's not so much, right? Well, I don't know, some people have really big ones, but earrings. And some of the commentators say that what Aaron was trying to say to the people is, Shema, listen to what God was telling you a month and a half ago. Don't do this. But of course, he wasn't strong enough to stand up for them. And so they build this golden cow as their God and have a cow party. And God says to Moses, "Get down, for your people that you led out of the land of Egypt have gone nuts." And then God gets a little more angry and says, "Step aside, Moses, and I'm going to zap them and start over with you." Now, if you're Moses and you've been through what he's been through the last few years, you might say, "Have at it." But Moses gets up in God's face and says, "You can't do that. What will they say about you, that you liberated your people only to destroy them in the wilderness? And you didn't make the promise with me. You made it with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And God says, "Fine, you handle it." So Moses goes down the mountain and sees this party and becomes so incensed that he shatters the tablets of the Ten Commandments, takes their God, melts it into a blob, grinds it into powder, puts it in their drinking water, and makes them drink it. Finally, once order is restored, Moses returns up the mountain to get a second set of tablets and to recommune with God. And in the part of the Torah that we'll read tonight, Moses makes a strange request. First, he says to God, "Please, let me know your ways. Let me have a better understanding of you so I can be a better leader of this people." And God says, "Fine." And then Moses says something even more extraordinary. He says, "Hareini na et kevodecha." Oh, let me behold your presence. Let me see you. So you see, Moses isn't so different from any of the other Israelites. He too wants to see God. He too needs to have some verification, some way of seeing and knowing what it is that God is and wants. And it's interesting, Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch writes, "At no point of the Torah does translation or explanation have to tread with greater care or diffidence than this passage. For here we are led to the extreme limit of humanity's knowledge of God, and even that which lies beyond this limit is intimated to us for the purpose of letting us know just this boundary line, that there are things that we can know and we can't go beyond that. The degree of our actual knowledge of God cannot extend during the period of our life here below. How fearful must we be that our attempts at understanding and our efforts at putting this understanding into words will miss the exact point of the truth. What is it that Moses sought to see? What did he expect would appear before him when he said, Hareini na et kevodecha, oh God, let me see you? And what God says to him is something extraordinary. He says, you can't see me, but I will make all my goodness pass before you. The fact is that everything we need to know about God is before our eyes all the time. All you have to do is look out into this magnificent, extraordinary powerful network of energy and life that is the world in which we live, and you can see signs of God's presence simply in the growth of a tree, in the bud of a flower, in the squawking of a bird, or in the cute fluff of a dog. You can see God when you look into the eyes of those with whom we share this world. Not simply the people with whom we share our lives and our homes, but the people that we don't even know. The people that live on the other side of the world. The people whose lives we would think of as being anonymous or extraneous. And then we remember that each and every single one of those more than 7 billion creatures with whom we share humanity is created in God's holy image of ultimate and infinite value. When Rabbi Yitzchak Arama read this passage that says, "You will see my back," God really is saying to Moses, you can't really understand me, but you can know what I'm not. Study well, not simply the limitations around you, but study your own limitations, all the weaknesses that make for humankind, and recognize that God possesses none of these limitations. What makes us human beings? We can only be in one place at a time. Anybody ever find that to be somewhat frustrating? We can only know a pitiful amount of what there is to know. Our capacity for wisdom is terribly bounded. Our time that we are given the gift of life extraordinarily short and circumscribed. But when we reach inside ourselves to the divine part of ourselves, our capacity to love is boundless. Our capacity to care knows no bounds. Our capacity to pursue justice and peace knows no limit. And so as we take in Moses' admonition, his plea, "Oh God, let me behold your presence," all we need to do is look around and close our eyes. And we will see that God is everywhere we look, in everything that we are, in every moment that we live, in everything that we do. And the sooner that we recognize that God is not something that we manufacture with our hands or something that we acquire that is outside of ourselves, the sooner we will realize the potential for the divinity that lies within. Shabbat Shalom.